It's brand new Titleist irons time. We have new T irons from Titleist, the T series. Very popular set of irons. I've taken them out on the course. I've got numbers from inside as well. Who would game these clubs? How much do they cost? Are they better than last year's? Let's find out. So we have new T series irons. We have T100s, T150. We've gone in the middle. T200s and T350 irons. Titleist are saying these are about performance, these are about precision, these are about feel, and they're all about the looks. So with 4 new heads, let's have a look at the looks and the feel as I test these irons out for the first time. Looks are as you'd expect. So we've got chrome finish on each one, slightly more chroming appearance on the back on 2 and 350, going into a slight more kind of, I don't know, satin finish on the 150, 100. Progression on the top line, 350, the chunkiest, looking like it's got the most offset. I don't know what the measurements are offset, these are just me eyeballing. 100 to 150 and 200 are maybe the closest in looks. 100 and 350 either side standing out, so 100 being the finish, 350 being the top line chunkiest. And then the offsets also seem to slightly progress in my eye to the most offset in the 350 compared to the straighter in the 100. Lovely clean lines on Titleist irons, always has been, still is. This is, in looks wise, no shocks, like absolutely no shocks at all. It's what you want a Titleist to look like. The groove pattern always looks nice on a Titleist. It looks really clean, really sharp. Always looks like there's fewer grooves as well. I haven't counted them, it's just what it looks like. But yeah, great looking irons, even when you go up to the 350, which is kind of your, you know, that one's not trying to be too shy of how powerful it is. That still looks very gameable in my mind. Core 100 feels super solid, very crisp feeling, you know, solid, true out the middle. It looks, stroke feels everything you would imagine the kind of player those tour players are going to want from this club. So when it comes into picking the next one, the 200, yeah, 200 and 100 are hard to define. Like when I'm looking just at these, they're so close of what they both look like. So 150 again, it looks great, nice top line, slightly bigger, but you would find it hard to tell if you haven't got all 4 to compare up against each other. Cool, the feel is very similar. Like that feels super nice. I caught that one a little clean, but half decent, and it still feels pretty solid. And it's nice to have such a good looking club packing a bit of punch in the help department. So 200 next. These are 7 irons I'm hitting. Oh yeah, that's gameable. 200 is such a good combination of looks, help, oh yeah, and feel. And obviously we're starting to push on in lofts now. I can physically see that one's getting up further on the green with an equivalent strike. But again, without all 4 being on top of each other, I'm struggling to feel the difference as we go up from 1 to 150 to 200, which is good. You know, you would want them and to feel similar. The good thing as well is that tacky badge, the sound and clip of that seems to have gone. It's still there, the tacky badge, but it's not as tacky. 350, I think we need to do a little game with these at the end as well, which I'll show you. Just a quick little game to show you how to actually game these. 350 definitely looks chunkier, more offset. This is more in line with what I play. I would be close to picking this one, to be fair. I think for a game improvement club, that looks great. Sounds decent. Again, not too like explosive. It sounds relatively iron based. Do you know what I mean by that? Sometimes the game improvement ones can be very clippy. What I like as well is that when you move down into the 9 irons and up into the longer irons, I've got 5 irons here, which we're going to do the little test with at the end, because I'll be interested in how much I can get out of one of those 5 irons. I reckon it's a lot. The looks just follow suit. There's no horrible jumps when you go down in loft or upper loft. If you want the slender look, 100, you want 200 and 150 looking A little less slender, but really helpful at the same time, looking tourish. They're perfect. 350's chunky. It's you know, it's not trying to say I'm the best looking club in the world compared to the others. But if you put it in its own category of game improvement, 350, when you get up to 5-iron and 9-iron, looks really good. So when it comes to who would gain which ones, the T100 is the most popular iron on tour, as Titleist will continue to tell us. It's about looks, it's about precision, and it's definitely about feel, and it's going to be relatively truer lofted. The 150 is being branded as a faster tour iron. The lofts are a bit stronger. They're 2 degrees stronger loft, but you're still getting the same precision and the same feel, and you're getting very similar looks to 100. So are these aimed at the short tour player? I don't know, the short hitting tour player. You decide. That for people who want 2 degrees stronger versions of the T100, really. The T200 is a tour-inspired distance iron. We're now going on again in distance, on again in lofts, so stronger, but we're getting that tall look and inspired club, which it does. It looks great. T200 has often been now my kind of favourite of all of them. I think most people would be going in there more at the T200 nowadays. So I think your club golfer who wants a good looking iron but still that decent amount of help, that little bit more than the other two, T200, I honestly think this is the sweet spot. And the T350, it's high, it's forgiving, and it's long. You know, this is a proper distance iron. This one is not going to be in any way trying to boast true lofts. It's going to be low spinning, it's going to be low lofted, it's going to be strong. It's still going to peak height up there though, remember. So depending on what you think stops the ball, peak height or spin, where really it's descent angle coming from peak height, is that we're all after. This is a distance iron, unashamedly distance iron, yet still in that nice T-series looking package. This is for the club golfer, this is for the golfer who really wants to push irons on, regardless if they understand deep plane or not. They just want to be able to say their 7-iron goes a good distance, and it's going to in this setup. So let's take a look at some of the data I captured, and what we find is there's no surprises. Like I've never been shocked by most of the main manufacturers. What they say the iron does, it does do. They often hide the ideas of distance by not saying particularly it's stronger lofted. It's just like got some special tech. But what happens is you do see the progression in distance with each iron, subject to the loft delivered, because there's different static lofts, remember. You do get the feeling of more help as you go up through the numbers, so from 100 up to 350. And obviously as those looks change, that inspires different feelings. But they're all peaking height very well. They're all going to the correct distance that you would expect from those kind of irons, and they're all in line, which possibly gives you some options for a bit of blending as well if that's what you're after. But remember, Titleist aren't really saying that as much. They've got their U irons, you know, their utility clubs, and I think that's where they would want the blending maybe to be. But you could certainly blend a few of these if you wanted to, but the numbers are true, solid to the static numbers that they deliver, and the performance, as you would expect from a Titleist, is tight, like it's on the numbers. So when it comes to the cost of these clubs, like, let's forget the word cheap. When it comes to brands like Titleist, you're not going to get cheap. They are all expensive. They're all in line with each other, which would allow you to maybe blend, so then you're not really, you know, paying loads more for one or the other if blending was the thing. I mean, you've got the utility irons as well from Titleist, so you might not need to blend these sets. I would definitely consider blending, I think, up 350 down into 200s and maybe 150 a little bit. 150 is an interesting one. I don't know how many of those they'll sell. It's a funny, like, middle club that we almost don't need, I would argue. But hey, I reckon clubs are really easy for these guys to make, so they just make as many as they can and try and make as many sales as they can. Who isn't doing that? Every company's got loads of irons now. But the prices are, you decide if they're expensive or not. I mean, they're not cheap. So the 100 ripped from 215, 5-iron, is gonna get front edge, maybe front edge. I hit that very well, and I tried to hit it quite hard. Did feel very solid. 150, hit again pretty solid. That should just push on comfortably. Front edge, one bounce, yeah, that's front edge. Hit well, again, solid, super nice, not really much difference, but obviously we get that stronger loft. It's helping me push on. But hitting it hard, I'm looking down at quite a small package down there. 200 hit hard again, that is rocketing. That's going to land on the green or straight at the pin. That's landed on the front edge, not bounced, and fell easy. You see a little bit of the back of the club out the back, aspiring a little bit more confidence, but it's still relatively small, but very gameable for lots of people. If you had 100 to 150s, for 5 irons a club you hit a lot, and if it's something that you want to send, that might be a good option. Now for me, it's a no-brainer when you start getting up 6 irons, maybe 7 irons for you, 5 irons definitely. This is the 350, it's gone higher in its flight, it's landing comfortably up there, so I could actually ease back off this one if I wanted to. And it just looks so friendly now. Like, why would I not give myself every chance when it comes to having a club I want to be able to, yeah, I can hit this soft, I could feather it in there if I wanted to, but if I want to send one, I want a 5 iron to really top out, which will happen sometimes, because I'm blending now with my hybrids where the hybrid might go too high, so I want the more penetrating flight that the iron gives me. This one, the 350, I think is going to blend so well. So the big question, which one would I game? Obviously, that's the biggest question. And also, is it better than the prior models? So, is it better than prior models? No, not really. We have a different step in there, but we kind of had that step anyway, didn't we, in the S or whatever it was called. I think it's just a refining of a product that is already solid and good. If you've got the prior models, changing to these, you're going to have to be really keen or super affluent or just like shiny things. If you've got older models down the line or different brands and you're thinking of going to Titleist, yeah, these are really good ones that you should be testing because they're just solid as Titleist as you would expect from a company like that. It's not a massive shift forward. The envelope has barely been nudged forward, but that isn't to take away from how good they are, because the last year's models and the model before that and the model before that and the model before that were all pretty good as well. Which one would I game? I think I'm going to stick in there at that 200 mark. I like the look. I like the combination of distance it gives me and feel. It's a really good sweet spot, and I think it's one that would appeal to a lot of golfers as well, even though the most used iron on tour is a T100. That's just they like saying that they're great on tour, Titleist. T200 I think is where lots of you would start for your fittings and then move out from there onwards. Now if you want to find out what the best driver of 2023 is, this video might help you out for your next driver purchase.